The dimly lit airport terminal hummed with the usual noise of travelers rushing to their gates, the sound of luggage wheels against tiled floors, and the chatter of families and colleagues. Amid this ordinary chaos, a quiet tension hung in the air, the kind of tension that doesn't have a name but everyone can feel it. Sergeant David Hunt stood near the entrance, his uniform sharp and meticulously pressed, the weight of his responsibility heavier than the bag slung over his shoulder. His hands were folded together in front of him, every inch of his posture screaming discipline and solemnity. But inside, his mind raced with the same thought. The mission is everything. David was part of an elite group known as the Tomb Guards. Their duty was as sacred as it was humbling, to escort the fallen heroes of America back to their resting place, ensuring they were honored with the dignity they deserved. Today, he wasn't just a tomb guard. He was a soldier, entrusted with bringing home a hero who had given his life in the service of his country. The flight had been long, and the soldier he escorted, Corporal James Carter, had been a young man, barely in his 20s. A life cut short by the chaos of war. James had been David's friend before he had been a fallen comrade. Their bond had formed over shared experiences, long nights of camaraderie, and the understanding that war doesn't just take lives, it takes pieces of souls too. David had been with James the night he fell, the night he received his orders to carry out the final duty for his friend. Now, in the airport, everything was different. Everything felt unfamiliar. There were no military salutes, no honor guards, no public displays of respect, just ordinary civilians too distracted by their own lives to know what was truly happening. As David approached the gate, he was stopped by an airport official. She was a young woman, her eyes scanning over her clipboard, and she seemed unaware of the weight he carried. "I'm sorry, sir," she said with a smile that faltered when she saw his expression. "But you can't bring that bag through here." She motioned to the black sealed casket that held James's remains. David felt his throat tighten, but he masked the emotion quickly. "This isn't a bag," he said, his voice even, but inside, there was a storm brewing. "This is a fallen hero. Please, I need to take him home." The woman looked at him with confusion, clearly out of her depth, but her gaze softened. "I understand, but please," David interrupted, his voice low and strained. "I'm a tomb guard. This is my duty." She blinked, unsure what to do. A few moments passed in silence before she finally signaled for her manager. The manager, a middle-aged man with graying hair, approached with a look of authority, but David could see the hesitation in his eyes. He, too, didn't understand the depth of the situation, but he knew one thing for sure. This man is not ordinary. "I'm sorry, but we have strict protocols," the manager started, his tone apologetic but firm. "We can't allow non-passenger items to be carried through this section." David's heart pounded in his chest. He had never been challenged like this before. This is a fallen soldier, he thought. James deserved better than this. "I don't think you understand," David said, his voice tight. "This is not just some casket. This is Corporal James Carter, a young man who laid down his life for this country. The least you could do is show some respect." The manager, visibly taken aback, stepped back slightly. He glanced around, noticing the small crowd that had gathered. Some of the airport staff were watching from a distance, sensing the gravity of the moment. Suddenly, another voice interrupted. "I'll take it from here," a deep voice said. David turned to see a tall man in a military uniform, his face weathered by years of service, but his eyes burning with the same pride and respect that David held in his heart. He was the commanding officer of the honor guard at this airport. "I'm sorry," the officer said to the manager, "but this man's duty is sacred. We're going to make sure he completes it." The manager, realizing the officer's rank and the situation's seriousness, quickly stepped aside, mumbling an apology. David felt a rush of relief, but also a deep, painful sadness. This wasn't over. The true weight of his mission had just begun. James had been taken from him once, but David wasn't going to let him be taken again, not even in the eyes of those who didn't understand.